comment? Hearing none, we'll go to the minutes of December 12th and January 2nd.
Mr. Chairman, if this is too much trouble, and I apologize, I know that there were a couple provisions made to one of these sets. I have not had a chance to review either one of them yet, so I would like to table both of these minutes again to our next finance meeting if it's possible.
Okay, for that area, okay.
Yeah.
We will table them. Okay, is there a motion to table the minutes of December 12th and January 2nd until the next meeting? We have a motion, is there a second?
I'll second.
Any questions or comments?
I just have one comment.
Yeah.
Which is generally, I know it can depend on what office you're in, but typically we don't make the recounting of minutes a back and forth on what was said. It's generally supposed to reflect action items, and that's pretty much it with enough.
Yeah, this is not necessarily to have verbatim, I agree.
It's not a transcript.
Okay, all in favor of the motion to table, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Next we have for our topic of discussion today is the conditional grant presentation by Carolyn. The floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you. So I did provide you a written report. So I don't know if you've had a chance to look it over, but it addresses each of the 8 conditional grant areas. So in the corner of each, beside each heading, on the left of each heading, you'll find the topic, the general topic and the amount that it was to be funded for. So just to quickly go through the 8 grants, each one has the goal written out. That's what we had agreed to in the revised memorandum of understanding, and then our progress. And each of them is completed, we feel, to its entirety. Some of them have ongoing elements to them, but they're completed. So the first one was about increasing our foundation's capacity to fundraise by raising more than 50% of what we raised in 2017. Because we hired a staff member, and she's really been facilitating this and working with it, we far exceeded the target income of $21,960 for just the 2017 money alone, and there were additional gifts that came in early for 2018. We were at $77,069. So in cash and in-kind gifts, and you can see the breakdown below that. But that was over 251% over the amount of 2017. So we far exceeded that goal. A lot of that money, foundation money, comes to us and filters back out to the libraries. So some of those things were, for instance, a gift of, I can't remember if it was $10,000 or $25,000, but a gift of tens of thousands of dollars that went to Amelia Given Library for their roof project. So that's an example of how it comes to the foundation and passes through to the libraries. Also, some EITC money comes in for the summer reading program through those foundation gifts. So that's sort of an example of how that money is then spent. Remote printing was a goal that we had. We purchased, oh, go ahead.
Carolyn, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Okay, so
Sure, we'll stop at each one and let you ask questions.
last year, you were saying there was a 50% increase in the target was 21,960, raised a total of 77,000.
Mm-hmm.
How is that broken down in terms of the contributions? In other words, you mentioned, I believe, that you had one contribution for like $25,000.
Right, some were large like that, others were contributions by board members who maybe wrote a $100 check to us. So, yeah, they were all.
Do you know how many
different.
total number of contributions?
I don't
Made
have
up
that
for
with
some.
me, but I could get that for you.
Okay.
Number of contributions.
And you would attribute this to having a dedicated staff member on this?
I think that's plays well into this. Yeah, she helps the libraries in doing their grant writing also, and that of course isn't necessarily in here. She helps with the foundation and grant writing, and looking for funding opportunities, reaching out to corporations for donations, some other examples, and it gets fuzzy which ones are 2017. I'm sorry, which ones are 2018 and which ones are 2019. But we just got a $5,000 grant for Partnership for Better Health for our STAR homebound outreach program. Like I said, there was a sizable grant for Amelia given for their roof project. They're replacing their roof. She's been helping John Graham Library. They're building an addition onto their children's space. And so there are some large gifts and there are some smaller gifts that, maybe just checks for $25 to $100 that come in. Some of them are in kind. There were $6,064 just in kind gifts. Those were things like gift certificates given, a lot of it was gift certificates given to us to hand out to children as part of the summer learning program. You achieve a goal, you get a certificate to get a free drink at Sheets, that sort of thing. So those were all valued and included in this amount. No, that's okay. That's a good idea for me to pause after each one and ask your questions. So thank you for that reminder. So the next one was a remote printing. We did do this back in March of 2018. We completed this goal. It provided a product called Smart Alec, where people can print from their own devices. They don't have to be in a library to initiate the process. They can be at home and do it through our website or through an app that they download, either way. They can give identifying information such as a library card, an email address, or a phone number in order to pick it up. And they just go, when they go to the library to make the payment, that's when the printout is actually, that's when it's printed out and they pick it up. So if they never arrive, we don't spend the ink to print it. So it's just provided a new level of service to all of our libraries. Any questions about that?
So this is for anybody who doesn't want to have a printer with a computer or anything?
Sure. It could be anywhere from, somebody traveling through town who doesn't have access to a printer. It could be, I brought it up at a department heads meeting here at the county to say if somebody's traveling around the county and realizes I forgot to print that important document, just go to the library. If you have it in your email on your phone, you can print it to our printers and we can retrieve it for you.
So then, when you get to the library, you pay for it, and that's when it gets.
That's when it gets downloaded and printed. So they do disappear. They're stored in a cloud server, and so after 7 days, I think. Anyway, they do disappear if they aren't printed. They eventually get deleted. Yeah, within 7 days. Okay. The next one was a website security goal. This is sort of, I think it was the first steps of migrating our content of our website over to Drupal 8. Drupal 8 is just a more secure environment for our website, so we needed to put it on new servers. That required purchasing and installing secure socket layer certificates on our intranet website and our main website. So that was done at the end of June 2018, and now websites all are secure on all browsers. It also then everything got migrated to a new server. It is not migrated to the Drupal 8 platform yet. That's what will happen here in 2019. So we have a skeleton website set up. We're examining some of the modules that we feel need a little bit more work. That might be outdated on our old site, and so that like I said, there's a documented plan for that migration to take place in 2019. Any questions about that? So our next one was the self-checkout with self-payment on credit cards. We had a goal to replace the 11 existing self-checkout machines and then expand by adding at least 3 more. We actually, and then to add the fine payment by credit card. We actually added 20 self-checkouts. They all have credit card readers that do tap, swipe, and chip payment, and they were installed throughout the system. So we installed 43 a 43% increase over our goal number. The member libraries provided things like the furniture and additional wiring. They paid for that, while we paid for the equipment and the software. We did save 50% off the purchase price of the self-checkout and self-payment software. And that savings is also realized, is built into our maintenance fees. And we also have a small savings in the purchase of the equipment. These new workstations have large touchscreen monitors, barcode scanners, the card swipes, and the receipt printers. And our goal for 2019 is to implement RFID, and they are compatible with the RFID system. So we'll just add an RFID pad to them and any necessary software. They've been working out well. We had a few bugs with the tap and the chip, but those were worked out, and things seem to be fine with those. Any questions on that project?
Carolyn, I understand 2 libraries didn't participate. John Graham, I forget.
The other one was the East Pennsboro branch of the Frederickson Library. So the 7-member of the 7-member libraries, 6 participated, but those 2, there are 2 smallest libraries that didn't feel that they had the space for them. That could change at John Graham with their expansion project. I don't know that it will change it. I'm curious if having RFID, they might, in the next year, that they might also want to come along and find space for them in East Pennsboro.
What are the yearly maintenance fees?
I don't have the exact, I don't have the numbers on what those are, but I can get that for you and send it. The next one was providing apps for library services so that people can have expanded access to web-based library services through their smartphone or tablet. And the most exciting one that we implemented was the Beanstack Tracker app. This still is, we have a 3-year contract with this. It's an interactive app primarily we got it for summer reading, for people to sign up for summer reading. It allows them to track their reading by page or by number of books. It tracks where they are in their progress of getting prizes from the libraries. They can earn, the libraries can set it up so they earn badges for reaching personal goals. It sends personalized reading recommendations. It's also flexible enough to use throughout the year for things like, some of our libraries are doing 1,000 books by kindergarten for the preschoolers. Some are doing winter reading clubs, and they can set up a winter reading club just like they do summer reading club in this app. So it can be used year-round, and we have that 3-year contract on that. With the Smart Alec, which I mentioned earlier, the mobile printing, that has an app along with it. So that was one that we implemented. And then Libby is the preferred app for the Overdrive eBooks platform. And so we introduced that on our website and provided training to all of our staff, and have been pushing that one to our customers. It's a little bit easier to use than the Overdrive app is. And then we created a website to highlight all the app services. On there, we also put some non-library things like the state parks app or the driver's test app. So some other reference apps we thought people would be interested. So we have all of our apps in one place. And we're continuing in 2019 and possibly, it may not get done this year with everything else we have going on, but into 2020, putting in a library app that people could get all kinds of library services. For instance, everything relating to progression here. With RFID, one of the options is you could have an app on your phone that you could check the books out with just by holding your book up. Yeah, your phone and your book together and entering into the app. So we are looking into enhanced apps that will offer more library services. Two that we've looked at so far are called My Library and Compira. But that's definitely a project for another time. but we felt that we've gotten the apps for services completed. Any questions about those? All right, well, moving on to refining the registration process. We set out to develop and implement new processes for customer-friendly card registration. Two big goals in this were to reduce the use of paper forms and to increase customer accountability for the items borrowed. And we've redesigned our library card application, so it's now down to a half sheet. We've been encouraging and again in the future moving toward a more face-to-face library card registration process where we would ask the customer questions rather than have them fill out a form quietly and then us quietly enter the information, which just involves a lot of wait time. But for right now, they're using the half-sheet registration form, and we purchased the Topaz system LCD signature pads. These were installed on every circulation workstation. They are also designed to be able to be taken out into the field, so someone can take a library laptop out and register people, for instance, at a street fair, and they can get the signature that way. The signature file is saved in the software where we keep all the information about the customer, so it's all in one place, and it's an encrypted file, so all the staff really see to know that it's there is, I'll just call it gobbledygook for lack of a better word. It's a bunch of letters and numbers, but there's a place where you can see it, but it's not a signature that somebody could cut and paste and steal to use somewhere else. So it's encrypted in the software. But this gives us the opportunity to, if there are questions about whether or not somebody has accountability, that they've agreed to our terms, it's no longer in question because we've got their signature. So we started rolling this out with our new card registrations and our in-person renewals when people come in to renew their library card every 3 years. And after we have that down, we plan to roll it out to try to identify which, we know how to identify which cards we don't have signatures on and get that on all customers. Any questions about that one? The collection management goal, there were a lot of parts to this goal, but I think the bullet points outline the progress with the completion of this grant, or this goal. We set out to improve our physical collections through improved collection management plans, through weeding training and implementing weeding in libraries as the deselection process, finding materials that shouldn't be on the shelves anymore and pulling those out. And then increasing participation in the streamlined acquisitions and processing that we do as a consolidated group at the library system. And all these goals were met. We streamlined the acquisitions and processing through some significantly large discounts with 2 of our book vendors. We also increased the number of vendors who can do electronic invoicing, which just makes things much easier in our accounting department and then getting bills out to our libraries. And member libraries increased their participation in terms of the number of items they purchased by 51% in 2018. The dollar amount was, I believe, 39% more. So it sounds like they got a lot more items at cheaper prices. We also worked with all the libraries to refine collection development policies. The system policy was revised, rewritten, and adopted in December. The board adopted that. And some member libraries have their own policies, but all member libraries follow our policy. We conducted 3 leading trainings with the staff in 2018, and our office as well as member libraries participated in active weeding practices. And in that process, we found a problem with our statistical categories table. which helps provide enhanced results for the book selectors and deselectors. And we found some problems with that table, and so we were able to fix those problems and get that, get better reports for them for 2019. Any questions on that one? I know that's a lot of library jargon in that one. Okay. The next one is on providing alternative platforms for library materials, streaming, downloadable formats, that sort of thing. We did adopt something called Romance Book Cloud. It's different from Overdrive in that they are streaming ebooks as opposed to ebooks that are checked out by one person at one time. They could be checked out by multiple card holders at the same time. And we did run this for 4 months on our website. We found that it really didn't have fantastic usage, and so we did drop that system. Meanwhile, we were looking at other systems, formats as well. We participated in a demonstration of Access 360, which I think I've described to all the commissioners previously. It's a much less expensive platform fee than our current Overdrive, and the libraries can help in the purchase of the ebooks. So it's possible we'll see that one happen. That will take a lot of conversation and negotiation in the future. But we also did throughout the year several trials of Canopy streaming video service, and we did sign a contract and paid for that service in 2018. We are waiting to go live with the service because people need to be authenticated through our ILS, and our ILS is changing IP addresses. We were notified of this in late December. That's happening this month. And it would just be complicated to switch the IP addresses right in the middle. So it is something that we've contracted and paid for, but we won't be reviewing it until later this month. So we look forward to having a streaming video service. Any questions about that?
Then this goal hasn't been achieved yet.
Well, it has been achieved. We did the Romance Book Cloud for 4 months, so we tried a new format, and we purchased the Canopy. We just aren't streaming it at this time because of a setback from our ILS vendor.
The Romance Book Cloud, we stopped it because it wasn't being used.
Yeah. It got really, it's not that it didn't get used, but it didn't get, we weren't pleased with the amount of usage for the payment price. And that concludes the 8 goals.
Do you guys have any questions or comments? Staff have any questions? No.
Yeah, that's maybe Dana's best to answer that one, but
Yeah, so we have it approved, but we don't make payment until the board.
Right.
approves it, so.
That's what you're looking for. You guys comfortable in approving that? I'm concerned with the last goal.
I'm not sure again, I don't think there's anything to be concerned about. We have a signed contract with them. We've already sent them the check for the initial amount for this.
No, it's fine, but we don't know if it's working, so that's my point.
It's in place, yeah, but that's resident.
Yeah.
So, and I'm sorry, what was the revised timeline on it then?
So we're at the mercy of the vendor, not the Canopy vendor, but our ILS vendor for the IP address change. And I believe they gave us a date of want to say it's February 24th, but that's talking off the top of my head.
But it's
So,
imminent, basically.
yeah, so until they make that change over the IP address, we can't turn it on. We have access to the site, we can see it working. We've tested it 3 different times throughout 2018, so we know that it works. You know, we have no concerns about how it will work, it's simply the IP address issue.
Yeah, I mean, it's a major platform, so it's a proven system. I don't have any understanding of what adaptation we need to do on our end.
Yeah.
Because
It's really just to authenticate the borrowers. So when people log into the site, that it knows that they're borrowers in good standing, that they meet our criteria to use our services.
so is it, how do I put it? I don't know the technical term for it, but there's a communications protocol that goes back and
That's
forth?
exactly, yes, it's called an API. So it uses a patron API to communicate with our server to see that the person is a borrower in good standing. And then it allows them, and we also, we set it up initially so people will be able to do 5 downloads per month. We can adjust that at any time, but that's the other thing it keeps track of, is it knows that Carolyn Bletchley logged in, has watched 3 films. She has 2 left on her account for the month.
Have we set any targets for like usage or adoption for a service like that? If you come back in a year, I have no idea what the contract value is, but I mean, at some point I would expect you to be looking at it saying, that's what we did for the its book club. It's either worth it or it's not worth it.
Right.
So are we looking at setting a threshold for that, or are we just going to play by ear, or what's the plan?
And we'll be setting a threshold. Right now, it's we put a dollar amount of $6,000 just to see what does it take to get to spend. So, you know, will that be spent in 2 months? Will that be spent in 6 months? Just to give us a sense of and give us a sense of how much is the service being used, but also is 5 downloads a month too many? Is that too few?
Sure.
You know, so
Test that.
we want to find out from patrons, what's the demand for the service?
And I'm sorry, what's the major way of rolling it out, of getting people won't adopt it if they don't know it's there, so obviously, you know,
Right.
newsletters, emails.
Sure, we use a service called Library Aware, that when we roll out new services, we import all the current email addresses. Anybody in our system has an email address, and we'll send them an email and let them know about the service. And then we also we'll incorporate that into every 6 months, I believe it is, they start a new cycle of, they download any new card holders, and we have a series of, I think it's once a month. An email goes out saying, this is what did you know you can do this with your library card? So Canopy will be one of those. We'll also have signs in the libraries will put it in their newsletters. Probably put signs in, table tents and things like that near computers. So we'll let people know that way. There's a ton of marketing materials.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I would hope there's some way to reach outside the existing universe of card holders, because this could potentially
The
attract.
next thing I was gonna say was there's the marketing materials in the Canopy platform that they provide, and one is a press release. So we'll adapt their press release and send that out to the media. So there are many different venues that we can get the word out. A lot of people know about Canopy because, and maybe you've experienced this yourself, you go to the website and it's, find a movie you'd be interested in watching, and then it says, find your library. And if your library is not in that list, they know that you don't have it. So some people will simply find it that way, that they're looking for a movie, they know about Canopy, and they'll find that we have it. And if they don't have a library card, they'll come and get a library card, and then they can use it.
No, I'm just concerned with, about last one, I mean, you paid for a contract, but, you know, it hasn't been fully implemented yet, right? I mean, that's where you are. I mean, you're waiting for,
To say not fully implemented, like I said, we don't have, the public does not have access to
well,
it
that's
at this
fine.
time.
In other words, it's not delivered yet. It hasn't really been provided to the
Right.
public yet.
But that is our second of the two things that we set out to do. One that was books and one that was movies.
Yeah.
Did you pay the full? I think that's maybe the
Did we
question
pay full
is.
canopy? Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't a down payment, it was a full payment.
I mean, if we want to revisit the approval for that component of it in a few weeks, we can certainly do that.
Yeah, the date you're saying is February 24th.
I could get back to you for sure. My computer services people know that date by heart because there's a lot of things going on that'll change in there. It'll change a lot of things for them, so I can find that out for you.
Dave, is there any technical reason on your end that you couldn't do a partial approval and then revisit the last component there?
We can do partial.
Okay. So that would be 7 of the 8 goals. Would you be okay with that?
Sure. Yeah, that's fine. And then yeah, this would be something we should revisit as soon as it goes along.
I'd be happy to come in and do a demonstration of it for you. Maybe.
I'll let you know if it's working.
Okay. Will like Gary do a demonstration for you? Yeah, it's very, very nice. We're really pleased with the canopy service.
I've read a lot of reviews for it, so it's very positive.
And we got an email last week asking about Hulu, not Hulu, Hoopla, which is another streaming library service. And we did about,
Didn't they just go out of business? I thought they were the one that just went out of
I
business.
don't think so.
Okay, I
Yeah,
haven't.
yeah, so we did look at that service and did this trial of that. Hoopla it offers books, movies, magazines, but it's more popular titles. It's the sorts of things that our libraries would buy anyway, where Canopy addresses the sorts of things that people might ask us to buy a movie. We might request it as a purchase or as an interlibrary loan, and it would only get used by one person. And this way, we're only getting it, for the one. You're not paying per title. The costs of Hoopla were also exorbitantly expensive. One of the libraries I talked to that's using it said they are trying to find a way to get rid of it because it's so expensive, but their patrons demand it. So I thought that's not an area I want to get into. And it is offered by York and Dauphin County Library Systems, and everybody who lives in Cumberland County can get a free card in either of those counties and use their services. So I thought this would be Canopy is a better alternative for our customers.
Okay, the motion could be something to the effect that we're approving 7 of the 8 goals in the amount of $90,000. The 8th goal, known as alternative programs, can be addressed at a future
Platforms.
finance meeting. So is there a motion?
I'll make the motion as characterized.
Seven out of 8.
Right.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further questions or comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Is there any other business we need to discuss? Yeah.
Bob A. is going to be calling in video teleconferencing to discuss the cantata paperwork and the agreement, stuff as well.
Yeah, I can start talking if you want.
I'm going to head on and
Text him. Let Melissa know.
There he is.
That worked good for me, I don't have to talk.
Yeah. Can you hear us, Bob?
Yeah, good afternoon.
Hi. Well, go ahead. We were just told that you're going to be presenting something, so sorry if we seem a little unprepared.
No, that's okay. That's okay. We have a contract for some programming and training for our Net Solutions electronic health record. The system is very, very customizable, and one of the things that has led to a fairly significant amount of work on the part of our staff here, trying to get the new program that were purchased in October to actually run where we need to. So we contacted Conditional Health, with the owner of Net Solutions, asking them if they would be able to send an expert out. The expert, by the way, is not only an IT person, but also a clinician. He's a registered nurse. So we feel that getting this help, which we estimate to be about 20 hours, for him to be able to come out and get our programs tweaked, if you will, and ready to be used by staff. And I think our feeling is that'll be a lot more efficient than with us trying to customize it ourselves.
So the way that the contract is written, it is a not to exceed $6,000. And the reason that it's written that way is they're estimating 20 hours, but they can request additional help while that training staff is here. They're coming from the West Coast, and the most important part, the most expensive piece of this is going to be travel costs. So we did the $6,000 because that's about the time that it would take another trip. We talked to Marina. The contract is for several modules, and what they're going to do is they're going to come in and discuss with staff, make the tweaks while they're here, and teach them how to use it. Marina is confident that it will help get all of the modules up and running except potentially point of care. And point of care, we may have to stay with Care Tracker for a time being, if not until we find a different solution, because that's the critical piece where the CNAs and stuff are entering stuff while they're taking care of patients. Is that an accurate reflection?
Yes. And CNA documentation is very integral to reimbursement case mix.
But Care Tracker is currently working for that. That's the legacy system that
Right.
we have.
So we'll have the old system and the new system.
Well, the new system, we've always had two,
Okay.
because we were using it for the AR piece, but we expanded the module. We were gonna expand to all the modules. But point of care, they're not completely sure that's gonna 100% meet their needs. So the other modules they're happy with, once we get them up and running, they will work. While this analyst is in, they're hoping to get additional information on point of care also. It's one module out of all the other ones. The other modules, the benchmarking and those types of things, should take small tweaks to get them up and running.
Very easy to keep on. West Coast.
Yes,
Or how many?
just one,
Just the one.
just one. And they're charging us training fee instead of analyst fee.
So this is what, for 2 days, 3 days?
They're estimating 20 hours.
20 hours.
20 hours,
Is it
3 days.
Right.
3 days?
Yes. After talking to Marina, I think this is an important piece and will save us money in the long run, because the Cantata is willing to send somebody here on site to help us, and doing it over the phone is a lot more difficult. And you're having people that aren't used to using technology, talking to the analysts, and having the analysts here will be very helpful.
So they're struggling to get all the pieces together in order to get it completed.
Yes.
When did we buy this?
It is a legacy system that we have had for more than a decade,
Okay,
but it was married with Care Tracker.
right.
And Care Tracker isn't 100% going to meet the needs in the future. Cantata sold them that their product would, but now that they're implementing it, they're not 100% sure that the point of care piece is going to work.
The new modules were purchased when?
October?
The
I think-
modules are purchased, not the copy.
Yeah. And the majority of the modules that we purchased are going to be up and running as soon, at the end of this. And we should know at the end of this whether point of care is going to work also.
So when we made the original purchase, we didn't realize that this was needed.
I think the way to characterize that is that when we started to try to use it, again, because it's a very, very customizable system, there was an awful lot of background work that we needed to do. And the frustrating thing is, we know clinically what we want, but to actually make it work, as Dana described, it's a lot of calls back and forth to California, and staff time is just, there's a lot more staff time being expended than we had anticipated.
So in retrospect, this purchase should have been made originally with the new modules in October. So clean it up. Just what-
If we had known what we know now, absolutely, yes.
All right.
So what's your request?
Sandy has a copy of the contract, Keith has seen it, he's agreed to it, we tweaked the wording a little bit. It's actually an addendum to the existing contract.
Okay.
So it's to approve this so that they can work with the company and get them in here and get it up and running.
You
And-
anticipated our questions about the contract amendment, keep looking at it.
But, and we did discuss this at the workshop.
Yeah.
And we pulled it for Monday because we didn't have everything all together.
All right.
But it's, so I'm clear, it's an expenditure that's capped at up to $6,000.
Correct,
That's in the contract.
yes.
All right.
One other question.
Please.
And I'm not saying this to be smart, but when you say it will save us money in the long run, how long a run are we looking at?
Well, I would say if they keep struggling along,
Yeah.
it's a lot of, it's the DON, the ADON, the training position, and the RNAC supervisor, I'm sorry, I don't remember her title. Those 4 people are, every time I'm down there, they're in the conference room working on this system.
Okay.
So it will clear up their time and get them focused where they need to be.
No. That's fine.
Anything else?
I do have some answers to a few of your questions.
Well, please, we're not on that right now. Does the board have any other questions or want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the contract addendum with the additional expense of not to exceed $6,000.
The motions are second.
Listen,
Any further questions or comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thanks, Robert.
Thank you. Thank you.
Is there anything else?
No.
Yeah, Karen.
Yeah, so my staff are right on these things. So, the IP address change will happen on February 27th. So we'll be able to implement that right after that. The self-checkout integration had an initial fee of $4,000. Some change. And that amount is rolled into our annual contract after that. So it's just our normal contract fee for all library services. So it was 69 something last year. It'll be 70,000 this year. It's a 5% increase the next year. And then the donations, hope I'm understanding what she said. There were 34 non-summer learning program donations
Okay.
and 70 if you count the summer learning program donations.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Carol, appreciate that.
All right, there's no other business. Is there a motion to adjourn?
so
Adjourn. Thank you all.